My next guest is Ellice Ogle of Tandem Food, LLC. She's a food safety auditing consultant and training professional. You can reach her at Ellice at tndmfood.com. This is my guest, Ellice Ogle with Tandem Food, LLC. Hello, Ellice. How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm doing all right today. It's a nice day outside. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So let our viewers get a little better understanding of what Tandem Foods, LLC is about.
Sure thing. So I founded Tandem Food last year as a food safety consulting, auditing, and training company. So I can help clients with their mock audits so that they can identify any gaps, and then of course consult on creating a food safety plan, starting from the beginning with a flow chart and a HACCP plan, moving into some of the prerequisite programs such as SOPs and GMPs, and then moving into other types of programs like supplier approval programs, recall programs, all of those documentation that can be required. And then, of course, I can also provide training as well, and if that is requested by the client. And my specialty is actually third-party certifications for CPG, so non-GMO project, gluten-free certification organization, and a certified organic USDA NOP.
What are some things you wish more people knew about the food safety industry?
That's definitely a very funny question because I think that a lot of my experience is always hoping that people get started in on their food safety a lot earlier. I think that companies don't see a lot of ROI on putting that time in on food safety, but really a lot of food safety is preventative, right? Being able to prevent those recalls, or whether it's from getting sick, knock on wood, right, or it's a labeling issue. I think that food safety can also just help with laying down the foundation of the documents to create processes that can scale.
And you came on today and you were going to discuss a little bit more about how food safety can respond for COVID-19 currently, too.
Yes, so there's definitely a lot of information, and I'm definitely not going to be a one-stop answer, of course, for kind of how food safety has changed with respect to COVID. Of course, though, we want to remember that COVID is not a foodborne illness. So with current knowledge, rather, COVID is not passed through food. And with that being said, what we know is that COVID is passed more through person-to-person transmission. And so managing the person-to-person transmission, whether it's coworker to coworker or employee to consumer, is really important. And that's always been a big part of food safety anyway, in terms of managing those relationships and interactions. And so that's a lot of the finer details, I would say, have been impacted in terms of training, but of course there were already existing training programs in terms of personnel hygiene, but there were existing personal hygiene. So for my experience, a lot of what COVID has really highlighted is the, the
more operational side
scope,
of things,
if you will, of those respective programs and how tight they are in terms of just making sure that they work, the validation, verification of the existing programs to ensure that the food is being made as safely as possible for the consumer as well as for the employees in that sense.
Do you have any favorite clients that you've had or different projects that you think would be a good highlight of ways to react properly in the current situation?
I guess in to share an example, I suppose, of the COVID reaction and response, I just want to highlight, this isn't someone who I've worked with, but HEB grocery chain in Texas, I think, has just done a phenomenal job with having been prepared as they had reacted to previous crises. And that way, when COVID hit, it was just an execution of their plan. They weren't having to do both, developing and executing. And so I think there has been a lot of publications, and HEB has been pretty transparent in their practices throughout COVID. And again, I just think that would be a really good example for groceries, for sure.
Do you have any tips or tricks or any sort of suggestions you'd like to add about you and your company before we end today?
Sure. I think what is just really exciting about food safety is that it's applicable for all parts of the food industry. And so I've just really enjoyed being a part of so many different projects in very different niches, from cultured meat to vertical farms and kind of the future of food, but also just existing CPG companies or more of the agricultural side, and even branching into a little bit of restaurant and food service. So it's just been such a fun way for me to really see a lot of the food industry just through a food safety lens. I also think that food safety has really helped me to understand risk management in general, and understanding, of course, the frequency or the likelihood of a hazard, as well as the severity of that hazard, and how I can best manage that, whether I'm overreacting or underreacting, and if I'm prepared or not. So I think food safety has just been a lot of fun. My background is in research and development and product development for CPG, and those projects tend to have constraints around food safety and quality. So again, moving into food safety, I've just learned a lot about other parts of the food industry and also about myself. For example, I apparently really like to read fine print.
It's a good quality to have, especially in food safety.
Yes.
So if someone wants to get in contact with you and get some training and learn a little bit more about how they can improve their food safety practices, how would they reach you?
That's great. For anyone who is interested, I can be found on my website, www.tndmfood.com. I'm also on Instagram, although we're currently revamping our Instagram account to be a little bit more relevant and useful, and also on LinkedIn. I think that even though Tandem Food is focused on food safety consulting, auditing, and training, I've been approached for many different types of projects, even if it's operational, like creating a auditing program within a company, or working on, for example, an app, and more of just in general, the food industry. There's lots of different types of projects, and I think that having this food safety type thinking process, I'm able to apply that in different types of projects. So feel free to contact me with your project idea, and hopefully I help. But I also, of course, am connected to a wide range within my network, because even within food safety, we have labeling experts, we have testing experts for shelf life testing. There's all different types that are related, all different types of jobs in food safety. And so I definitely have access to a wide range of trusted network that I might be able to share.
Thank you, Ellice, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. That was Ellice Ogle of Tandem Food. You can reach her at tandemfood.com, tndmfood.com, or reach them on Tandem Food for LinkedIn, Instagram, and her website.